when the moon is growing or you're feeling really spontaneous and you're feeling a little like impulsive and you want to do stuff, experiment. Give yourself permission to play in your closet. Give yourself permission to wear the thing that you always want to wear. Maybe it's a skirt. Maybe it's a dress. Maybe just give yourself permission to dress up to go to the grocery store. I love doing that shit. It brings joy to my life because people are always like, why are you so dressed up? And then I'm like, well, why aren't you so dressed up? What's up, Style Nation? It's your girl, Katie here, back for another episode on the Styled for Life podcast. So excited, as usual. But I'm actually really excited to do today's episode because, as you guys know, if you've been following along for a while, the podcast just got a name change in June. Switched over the podcast from Just Realized, the journey where it all began with me making the one decision to start a podcast, and my whole life has changed since that day. Every aspect of my fucking life has changed just from believing in myself and taking that leap to now the Styled for Life podcast. Ultimately, the same exact podcast, just with a different name because it made me feel good about myself. So welcome back. I'm so excited you're here. Somebody asked me the other day, why did I start saying Style Nation? So real quick, I'm going to tell you a funny story is, well, we refer to our family, like the four of us in the house, as Allen Nation. And back when I got that fun idea to change the podcast and I was just super high on life, I was probably ovulating because I was bigger than life that day. And that's so relevant to what we're going to talk about today. So stick with me. But I will never forget the moment my husband and I were sitting out back. We were probably drinking bourbon. And my relationship with alcohol has been complicated over the last couple of years. And that's why I know that that's what we were doing because it's super intentional these days. And I just was like, yo, I just have this feeling the business needs to change because I've just changed so much. And when I started the business in 2019, it wasn't even a business. I got a business license for the podcast because the podcast had expenses that came with it, but I had no intention on ever really leaving my job, even though I said I wanted to. If I'm fucking honest, I had no idea that I was really going to leave my job and start a real business. And the business was called Just Realized Media because it was a podcast. And then I love the name Just Realized for the podcast. I really did because I was just realizing like all these things about myself and it made a ton of sense. But I was sitting out there that day and I don't know what we were saying. And I was like, I don't know, like, you know, Allen Nation is my life, right? Like my family is my life and we use it all the time. And like all the notes on my iPhone and my husband and I will hashtag like, I love you, Allen Nation, just little fun stuff like that. And I was like, I'm going to just start referring to my team, like my people, as my Style Nation. And he's like, that's it. And I literally that night changed my business name, just my filing taxes name, to Style Nation LLC, doing business as Katie Just Styled. And that is the story behind Style Nation and why you are Style Nation. Anyways, but we're going to be styled for life on this episode. And I'm really excited about this because I recorded this same episode we're going to talk about today. We're going to regroup on the Just Realized podcast. It was in the very beginning of my styling journey. One day I was meditating, and I hate when people tell stories like this because the man-gen type A Enneagram 3 in me that like has the overachiever, like get things done, exhausted, burnout person that I am working on all the time hates when people say shit like this. I was meditating and then I just got this download and I'm like, it's not that easy. I need a step-by-step plan that I have to work on for months and months and months until the idea comes to me because things are not allowed to be easy like this, right? But I promise you, I was meditating one day in my living room, sunny as shit, and I just popped up, my eyes wide open, and I was like, oh my God. I couldn't stop writing. At the time, I was really getting in sync with my cycle. I think it was right before I lost my job, but the summer right before I lost my job, I was really getting in sync with my style. Actually, it had to be right after that because I would have never tied it back to style. So it has to be the end of 2020, maybe in the beginning of 2021. I already have become a stylist, and I had heavily been leaning into syncing with my style to manage my mood around getting fired. Now, I started it, I know, before I got fired because I started it the summer of 2020. And it was really because of the pandemic that I was like, okay, how am I going to fucking control my emotions here? And I wanted to get off the pill. And then I heavily leaned into syncing with my cycle through that transition of losing my job and coming back to myself because I was fucking stressed out. And I just had to know on the days where I literally felt like I was losing my mind, I had to be like, okay, am I really losing my mind? Or do I have absolutely a zilch of estrogen in my body making me feel like a normal human being? And then I was meditating one day and it so easily just came to me, oh my God, you can dress to match your mood, where you're at in your cycle. If you follow the moon, if you've listened to this podcast for years, you know that I've done so many episodes on like, moon cycling and all the spiritual things that had led me and helped me on this journey. And that's a really big part of it too is, if I'm either doing new moon rituals or full moon rituals, or I was leaning into where I was at in my cycle and how connected those two things really are, because the moon goes through a very similar cyclical phase, just like women do. And that's a whole nother fucking episode. We can go down all the rabbit holes. And if you're new here, or even if you've been here for a while, I'm assuming you probably know a lot of that, right? So the moon very closely follows the women's cycle, right? Where we have the dark moon, right? And then for us, that's our period. And then the estrogen rises and then the moon gets bigger, right? And then when the full moon correlates to you ovulating, and then the estrogen starts to drop, which then is like the moon, right? It starts to wax down and get smaller. I think it's called waxing when it gets smaller, or waning. I can't remember which one is which. Totally not an expert on that. Thank God I remembered. My real passion was really about style. But these things are so connected, right? Because I truly believe that our style holds big energy and is a big energetic tool that we can access on this healing journey. So I got this major download of how this all works. I had read in a book that I was reading about tracking our cycle, just different things that we'd like to do at different points in our cycle, all of the things. And some of them tracked back to things that are obviously related to what I do as far as shopping and closet editing and things like that. So I confirmed it with a couple of key people in my life. And what do you know? Sync with your cycle and your style was born. And I have an 18-page style guide up on my website in no time, right? Like it literally became this mega download and it was wild. Speaking of which, it is on my website and you should go download it so you can follow along with this episode if you're into it. And it's, like I said, so much more. Like if you're not cycling, or if you're not paying attention to your cycle, or if you're on an IUD, whatever that journey is for you, it's no one's here to judge, right? I was on birth control for fucking 20 years plus and never had a period. So if someone would have said this shit to me, I'd have been like, pause, curb. Like, no, I'm not here for this. But still, we all go through moods and we experience different moods. So I'm really going to talk about the energy behind it. So just stick with me, put your own language to it, what feels good to you. But go download the guide on katiejuststyle.com/freebie. Like I said, it's 18 pages and that might sound like a lot, but it's not. It's full of good juice. There's fun facts in there. There's shoppable links to my fave lipsticks that I say go with each phase. You can always shop those as a way to support the show as well. And I have journal prompts in there. Now, mind you, I can't even fucking remember what they are. Because I saw them and I was really proud of myself. And then at the same time, I was like, I'm too scared to go read them. And I know that sounds weird, but we'll get to that in next week's episode. But no, they're really juicy. And it was really around helping you figure out how to link it to your style, like what pieces meant what, and really kind of examples of how I match it up. So we're going to hop into this today. I'm super excited to just run you really quickly through each of the 4 phases and how I use it and how I see it show up with myself and with my clients as far as it goes to their style journey. If you haven't listened to last week's episode with my style mentor, Kim Apodaca, go back and listen because she really digs into the archetypes of style as she sees them. And there's a lot of correlations. There's, like, as far as I know, like 8 or 9 different feminine goddess-like archetypes. She talks about 4. I have 4 here. Some of them overlap, some of them don't, but it was just a really, really good episode. So I think you should go check it out. It's a great precursor to this episode. And don't forget to download the style guide so you can follow along. KatieJustStyle.com/freebie. And after the show, if you're like, oh my God, I love it, I need all my friends to listen to this, please share the podcast, rate and review it. Really helps me share the show with more people, get more eyeballs on it, and we can really inspire everyone else in the world that needs to be inspired. And at this point, I'm pretty sure it's all of us. But to me, in my mind, that's how we create change. And that's why I show up every week, right? These are all things I know that help me. I'm assuming they're going to help other people. And from my experience, we all need the same reminders over and over and over again. And we're all dealing with the same inner thought dialogue just through our own experience. And we all have our own hangups. Like the one thing that's easy for me is not easy for my husband, vice versa, right? And that's how we help each other. So let's hop in and talk about how to sync your style with your mood, and very specifically your cycle. So I always like to start with our inner spring, right? So your period's just ended, estrogen is starting to rise. In my mind, I'm starting to feel like a little bit more of myself. I have a lot of energy all the time and I like to be really productive. Now, it's a gift and a curse, right? I know that I'm also of a generation that is hustle, hustle, hustle. So I'm working on that all the time. But there's a level to that I personally enjoy, getting shit done, right? I just do. So I love when this springtime starts to show itself because as much as I love resting, and I do too, I also just love getting shit done and being out and like connecting with people. Duh, like I fucking love podcasting. So in my mind, when we're in the spring phase, this is really all about our maiden energy. So when I think of maiden energy, I think of baby Katie. I think of 18-year-old Katie who was going to college for fashion. And when everyone was challenging that, I was like 2 middle fingers up. Actually, I was, but that's probably more my enchantress archetype. But it wasn't really about 2 middle fingers up like I'm going to do it anyway. It was like I just had no idea what life really entailed, right? I had no idea that recessions even existed. I had no idea that bad things can happen. When I started college, right when I started college, my second year of college is when 9/11 happened. So when I first started college, I just had no idea, right? Like I could tell you stories. I have never seen the Confederate flag hang like I saw it hang my first year of college. And that was just like a mind blower for me. I was like, what? People don't do that where I grow up. Like, what the fuck is this, right? So maiden energy. So I see that as we're experimenting. We have lots of energy. We're a little green. We don't know everything, but we're also really spontaneous, right? We don't overthink things and we don't have a lot of fucking self-doubt because we don't know yet that we need to doubt things. So take advantage of this time in your cycle and fucking experiment with the clothes you have in your closet, right? This is our favorite time to shop as well. So you know, you go shopping and you have a pocket full of cash and nothing looks good on you and you can't find anything. And then sometimes you go shopping and the store is packed with stuff you love and you're literally like, really? I have no money, or I just made a big investment, or whatever that is. If you are consciously tracking your cycle, we are more likely to shop, make impulsive purchases during this phase because of our maiden energy, right? She's really spontaneous. She doesn't really have the foresight or really the hindsight, I guess, to maybe think, oh, I should save for the future. But she's our playful right? So when I think of maiden, I think of what makes me feel alive, because being spontaneous to me makes me feel very alive, because being a mother in my 40s and a business owner and all the things that I've learned and have been conditioned to over the last 40 years, I mean, come on, let's be real. My life's not that fucking spontaneous. It could be because I'm an entrepreneur, but even still, I have my days like fucking planned out. And I have to remind myself that I am my own boss and I'm allowed to shift things, but also I have commitments that I've made to clients. So I can't always just like fucking flush the format and just go to the pool all day. So I love maiden energy for experimenting. This is amazing during so I'm thinking about the fall is coming up. This is amazing if you want to try something new. If you start seeing something like a new color or a new silhouette that you've been following along with, or you've seen your favorite influencer, blogger, Instagrammer wearing it, and you're like, oh my God, I want to do that. This is an amazing time to start. If you have been following along and I've made you fall in love with lipstick, this is an amazing time to try something fun. Something, I always say playful or flirty, insert the word that feels good for you. I think that I don't have enough playfulness in my life. A lot of women I attract into my business don't either. And that's something that we're constantly working on, or we have to be very conscious of. So that is my hot tips on your maiden energy that week in your cycle when the moon is growing, or you're feeling really spontaneous and you're feeling a little like impulsive and you want to do stuff. Experiment. Give yourself permission to play in your closet. Give yourself permission to wear the thing that you always want to wear. Maybe it's a skirt. Maybe it's a dress. Maybe just give yourself permission to dress up to go to the grocery store. I love doing that shit. It brings joy to my life because people are always like, why are you so dressed up? And then I'm like, well, why aren't you so dressed up? You came to the store like that? You came to the store like that? Just joking. Next, inner summer. So like I said, this was me sitting out back just like, hey, we're just going to rename my whole business and start over. Inner summer, ovulation, the mother archetype. I also like to think of my magician archetype. And Kim talked about this last week on the episode My Style Mentor, where we went real deep into archetypes and the mistakes that we're making with our style of feeling like we have to stick in one spot. So for me, when I'm ovulating, I'm the magician. I can fucking create anything. And I love that because, fun fact, side story, when I got fired from my job and I was floundering around like literally a fucking fish, someone I know in my community, a dear friend, was like, you should talk to this person who's just starting out and they're giving away free coaching sessions on helping people figure out what their next moves are in their career. And I pulled a card through them, part of their coaching, and it was the magician. And I was like, fuck yeah, I am the magician. So that's what I think of when I think of inner summer. And what comes to mind for me when I think of inner summer and I'm thinking of my style specifically is I am creating fucking magic. So I'm speaking, I'm podcasting, I'm doing IG lives, I'm doing all my client calls, I'm meeting people, I'm networking, like whatever that is. And I'm commanding fucking attention. And I don't even have to try. It's completely effortless. I'm magnetic, right? I'm just magnetic. And when I say I mean us, we, right? During this phase. Think of the moon. When you walk outside and the moon is full, that chick is magnetic. You are going to look at her, right? She's not begging you to look at her. She's not up there acting thirsty, but she's shining so bright you can't even fucking not look, right? This is you right now. Take advantage of that. This is where I like to tap into feeling really abundant and powerful and believing and trusting in myself that everything I'm doing is, even if it's going to be wrong in a couple of weeks and I'll see my errors, I am learning so much in this moment. And from a style perspective, I love layering my gold necklaces. So I was just on a call last week and I had like 5 fucking different gold necklaces layered. And I know it sounds ridiculous, but it looked amazing. And I said to her, I was like, yeah, this is my total Cleopatra vibe. Like, I don't know why for me, that's who comes to mind. I just picture myself Cleopatra style, just like dawn down in gold, right? And just, I also think of that really pretty kind of like turquoise blue. And that's a color I like to tap into. And I love turquoise and red. And so that's when I love to wear my red lipstick. But just, this is one of the journal questions, I'm sure, and the style guide is, what makes you feel powerful? So for me, it's red lipstick. And then I think of turquoise eyeliner, because when I think of I think it's King Tut's tomb. So I think of Cleopatra. So I think of gold necklaces. Then I think of Egypt. And then I think of the image of King Tut's tomb when it was first exhumed, and he has the all gold face with like the blue teal eyeliner. And I know it's not fucking eyeliner, but you know what I mean. And that's how my mind works, and just like how I think of style and getting dressed. Everyone's is going to be completely different, but just what does that mean for you, right? Like, what makes you feel abundant? It could be anything. Maybe Big Bird makes you feel abundant because he's so big and yellow and shiny and bright. And yes, I threw that in there on purpose. My daughter's been taking a puppeteering class. And I know so much about Big Bird now. But everyone's just going to be different. That's really my point, right? Like, what makes me tick is not going to be what makes you tick. I'm just giving you examples. And even the way you associate will be completely different. But when I'm in my inner summer, my creatrix, my magician phase, where like I know I have the tools to create the life that I really, really want, dress for that. Dress for that woman. Be her now. I use that quote all the time when I'm posting on Instagram and I'm inspiring people through style, and my client wins. I'm always like, be her now, right? Like, be that woman now. Feel that energy now. This is your phase right here, your inner summer, you're ovulating. Then we move in to the next phase, our inner autumn, our premenstrual luteal phase, the longest fucking phase. It feels like a month full of Mondays, for me at least, working on it. And I have a love-hate with this phase, because it is a get shit done phase. It is I don't really care. We've been waiting to pull the trigger on something that I'm tired. I'm actually tired of my own shit. Like, I get tired of my own fucking self. I get tired of my own fucking excuses during this phase. So I'm definitely tired of anyone else's, because I am an action taker. So when I think of my inner autumn phase, this is kind of my enchantress phase, where I feel like I'm here to get stuff done. Like, I'm going to make you do what I want you to do, and you're going to do it, because we're not here to fucking play games. In a past life, I was a project manager, and I feel like I always kind of think of that energy as like, how do we hit the goal efficiently and effectively? But it's funny, I was talking to a client this week, and you might have seen on Instagram, we were talking about being powerful yet approachable. And she was like, yeah, I want to be like, hi, I'm a nice bitch. So this is where I tap into that. And for me, it's really around expressing myself, being super fucking true to myself. So for my ladies who love black, I know you're going to wear black all the time, but in spring, you should try new colors, like maybe some pinks, some flirties, something like that. And then in the summer, wear whatever the fuck you want, right? Because you're creating. But in the fall, for me, this is where all the black comes out, right? Because I think black can be really powerful and mysterious at the same time. And when I'm in my get shit done mode, like, yes, now if I'm layering those gold chains, it's on top of my black t-shirt, right? And I'm going to get shit done. But I am going to look good when I'm doing it, but it is going to be in my black t-shirt. But think about what feels authentic to you during this phase. And again, wear that. But I don't mean authentic to you as in like your abundant self. I mean to your core self. So another thing that comes up for me here is graphic t-shirts. This is when I love a graphic t-shirt, and it might have a little snarky saying on it. Or to me, it's a really good time to like really express yourself, right? So my husband gave me a pair of socks one year with middle fingers on it, and I think it's funny as shit. This is exactly the phase that I'm going to wear something like that and just really not care what other people think. But also from a style perspective, the number one thing that you can do during your inner autumn premenstrual phase while you're in that mode of wrapping up projects and getting shit done, clean out your closet. This is the perfect time to get in the closet and say, oh, this shirt I've been holding on to because my mother-in-law or my grandmother's uncle's cousin's friend gave to me for Christmas, and I feel really bad getting rid of it. this is the phase to release it. This is the phase you look at it and you say, am I ever going to choose this shirt over my other 5 favorite shirts? The answer is no. It's time to donate it. I love closet edits during the luteal phase, your premenstrual phase. Not maybe when you're like totally PMSing, but leading up to it. And everyone's on a different journey with that. And I hate to lean into it because I really don't. It's really one of those things that I don't want to normalize, because I don't think that PMS has to be normalized as being such a terrible, shitty thing. But on my journey, I'm still not there yet. And I'm not, that's a whole nother podcast. Mine isn't like just like, oh, I'm a raging bitch. Like, you know, how people act around it. I just sometimes I have low self-confidence. So it's not always the great time to clean out my closet, but I like to do it right after I've ovulated and things start to head down. So it's a really good time to edit the closet because it's no bullshit, right? We're not in a bullshit mode. The rose-colored glasses from the maiden energy are gone, right? We know exactly what we want. Then the last phase, our inner winter, our bleed phase. So I have a lot to say about this because when I did start my journey of syncing with my cycle, this was obviously the phase I hated the most. So it's the one I put the most effort into. And then now I'm going to say it's probably one of my favorite times of my cycle because, one, I trust that this is when my intuition is supposed to be the most connected, right? So this is when we're like our best self, our wisest self. So some people can call it the wise woman archetype or maybe sage archetype. Like this is where I feel the most tapped in. And I know that I can trust myself and that whatever feeling I'm feeling is going to pass. Where a couple of days before that, I wasn't sure if that fucking feeling was going to pass. Because for me, once my period started, then I know it's all, every day gets a little bit better from a energetic standpoint once I've hit that bottom of low energy. So when I think of this phase and I think of style way before I became a stylist, I remember what I did to tap into this, and this is why clothes to me are so important, is when I said, okay, I'm going to get off the pill. It's been 20 plus years and I'm going to go all natural, whatever. That sounds so dumb now. I want all new fucking period underwear. Like I want really pretty fucking period underwear that if I bleed in them and they get stains, whatever, they're still fucking beautiful underwear. Because I remember being younger and like in high school and you'd have your cute underwear and your period underwear. And my period underwear were like full bikini bottom, like God, just ratty and tattered and like fucking the plastic was coming out of the side, like whatever. They were trash. They were literal fucking trash. And that message is it's so mixed signals because you are at your highest, you're the most connected to source or whatever. And this part of your cycle, this is when your intuition is the highest. It's when you can trust yourself the most. And you deserve to be wearing amazing underwear. And then that went one step further for me. And then I actually just started wearing Thinx underwear through my whole period without doing tampons or cups. So I was using cups for a while. So anyone who is actually cycling and is looking for recommendations or tips, I used the Salt soft cup for a long time and I still have it. But then I got my Thinx underwear because, you know, I like the colors and I could just, a part of it's just being lazy. I could literally just bleed in underwear. And at first I thought it was gross, but it's not. It's fucking amazing. It's amazing technology. So invest in some if you don't have some. And then I think I sent it to a friend. So then I also have this habit of like, once I've been on my period for 3 days and it slows down, I'm like, I'm going to just wear all my good underwear and ruin them was the joke, the meme. But then I switch into my sexy period underwear that I have deemed for my period. Really, they're just all black and lacy. But you should pamper yourself during this time. You should feel expansive and comfortable. So I'm not saying you need to like go dress up and put on the hot dress that maybe you were wearing during ovulation phase. But you deserve to wear amazing, beautiful clothes to lounge in and relax in. So go get yourself some really cute satin pajama sets or silk pajama sets or cute matching tie-dye sweatpants, but do not, I beg of you, put on nasty, ratty period underwear and your husband's old sweatpants that have dog hair and holes in them because you're fucking queen. And this time for you is super important to just reconnect, release, right? During when the moon is a new moon and it's completely dark outside, it's really about releasing and reconnecting. I also lean in and tap back into what am I going to bleed on? Like, what am I bleeding on during this? So for me, it's sweatpants. I love fucking sweatpants, right? For me, it's sweatpants, or right now it's hot as fuck, right? Here in Virginia in the summer, end of July, early August. So for me, it's my cute new satin pajamas that I got at Target, but they're matching and they're cute. And some of my favorite favorite lip glosses, because I have some that have really fun smells that I like to wear in perfume because I do feel a little bit bloated. I do feel a little bit expansive and I don't want to feel tight or restricted. I don't want to wear a bra or anything like that, but I do want to smell good because it sends a signal to my senses that I am a fucking queen and I deserve to feel good no matter what, no matter where I'm at in my cycle. And that's really how I see this whole journey of syncing with your cycle to your style, is that no matter where you're at in the journey, that you get to feel amazing in your clothes and in your body. And there's a way and a season for all of it. And there's certain times, and it doesn't mean you can't experiment at other points in your cycle. Absolutely fucking can. But if you feel like you've been stuck in a style rut, then do it during a certain space and time, right? That's what I try to tap into. Like when I know I'm feeling shitty and have low self-esteem, I just use this as a guideline to remember why I might be feeling this way. If I'm shopping and I hate everything, instead of just like blaming it on my body, I try to remember that, okay, maybe there's an actual literal chemical reaction happening in my brain right now that's making the shopping not as fucking fun as I want it to be, right? So like I said, whether you're leaning into your cycle or if you're just trying to dress for your mood, use these tips and these ways of thinking to do it. You got to download the style guide, katiejuststyle.com/freebie, so you can get into the free journal questions. And I have all these tips written down and more examples of what I do to lean into it and things like that. But also remember, dressing for your mood goes deeper than that. We can dress for the mood that we want to be in. There's plenty of mornings I wake up and I feel like shit and I'm ready to just like fucking guns blazing, right? And I'm like, okay, Katie, but you know what? You have big dreams. You have a way that you really do want to live, and that mood and that attitude ain't going to make you feel good tomorrow. So how do we want to dress today? Like, how do we really want to dress today to get to the mood that we actually want to be in? It's kind of like any of my friends who are focusing on their emotionals or know the emotional, the emotional vibrational scale. It's like moving up the fucking scale. What can I put on today to move myself up the emotional vibration scale? So if I'm starting out as pissed, angry, and mad at the world because my hot water heater has been on the fritz for fucking a month, true story, another episode. What am I going to wear today after I've taken a cold shower for the 5th day in a row, right? Yeah, I want to fucking come in here and put on shit. But I'm not going to do that. That's not going to serve me, right? That's not going to serve me. That's not how I really want to feel. Today, I don't really want to walk around the fucking house pissed all day because I can't get someone to come out and fix my hot water heater. No, I'm going to put on an amazing outfit, some amazing lipstick, so I can step back in to my magician self so I can figure this fucking problem out. So mix and match and play with all of these. It's just a guideline to kind of get you going on like where you're at and what may or may not be resonating with you at any certain point of your cycle, your moon cycling, or your mood. All right. I hope you guys enjoyed this. Thanks for playing along with me today on the podcast. I love it so much. Don't forget to go grab that freebie, katiejuststyle.com/freebie, free download with all of this style guide, all this information jam-packed, lots of fun stuff in there. I will also have some links in the show notes on some products I've been loving and my clients and I have been raving about ones that I'm recommending to them. If anyone's looking for some style picks for the rest of this month in July, it's on the show notes. It's an amazing way to support this show. And as always, if you would be so kind to leave a review or rate the show or share it with a friend, that would be amazing. My goal is to inspire as many women as possible so that we can stay inspired and really, really do the things that we want so we can create massive fucking change on this planet. We'll talk to you soon. See you on the other side.